Welcome to the Elementary STEM Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Naomi Meredith, a former classroom teacher turned K-5 STEM teacher and coach. With over a decade of experience teaching and a master's degree in STEM leadership, I'm here to coach you throughout the year to help you gain back more time to create innovative experiences for your students. Hello and welcome to a new year of the Elementary STEM Coach Podcast. It has been a little while and I am so happy to be back. And if you are watching the video version, I have a whole new setup. So I got this cute little pink chair to sit in. Of course, it's pink. I already had a wireless microphone, but I 3D printed a holder for it. And then of course, I have the cutest little coworker in the world, Frederick the dog. He is sitting on my lap right now, and we'll see if he'll be a good boy. We'll see if he stays for the full episode. So I am super excited about this podcast refresh. I have been doing this since the middle of the summer of 2023. And at the time of this recording, it is January 2026. So the podcast isn't going anywhere, but there's a lot of episodes and there's a lot of things to talk about in STEM. So I am definitely your STEM BFF. So is Frederick, but I'm definitely your STEM BFF. And I wanted to give it this new refresh where there's so many episodes where you can find the answers to your questions. And with that, with your questions, I want to keep chatting about things that are happening in elementary STEM, what is important to you right in this moment. Oftentimes, I can send you an episode that addresses that question, but of course, new questions pop up and there's more things to talk about. There's an endless supply of things to talk about. And what I'm going to do is shift a little bit how I do this and answer your real questions on this show. I'm super excited about this. Just think of it like we're hanging out, having coffee together. If you are watching this, there's a little bench. Pretend you're sitting on the bench with me and Frederick, and we're chatting about one of my most favorite things that I'm obsessed about is elementary STEM. Another cool thing too is I am on the app LTK or Like to Know It, which is really hard to get into. I've applied a couple times and I finally got accepted. So I'm super excited about that, where I can link everything and to multiple websites and all the physical products. So everything you see here on this podcast, my outfits, a lot of behind the scenes, some things in my daily life. So it's another way that we can connect together with elementary STEM, but also just what it's like to be Naomi. So make sure to find me on there. Same username as my Instagram, Naomi Meredith _. And it will, of course, be linked in the show notes, but make sure to give me a follow on there so you can get the physical links to everything I talk about and including my outfit. Before I play today's question, if you're wondering how you can get in touch with me to have your question answered on the show, you can contact me in a couple of ways. Feel free to send me a DM over on Instagram at Naomi Meredith _, or you can voice message me and you can do that at naomimeredith.com/voice. Let's jump into today's question.
Hi, my name is Michelle Prince, and one of my coworkers told me she was able to get professional development hour certificates by listening to your podcast. And she said there was a spreadsheet somewhere to fill out for that. So I'm just wondering if you still offer professional development certificates for your podcast. Thank you.
Michelle, this is a fantastic question. And I hope I emailed you back. And if I didn't, I am so sorry. This was hiding in my emails, but it's a really, really good question. And there are actually quite a few ways that you can get professional development credit from this podcast. And like I said, there's over 200 episodes. And if you've been with me the whole time or you have binge listened to the episodes, you should get credit for it. And I think it's really helpful that a lot of school districts and even states, you definitely need to check where you're at, will accept you listening to a podcast as part of your professional development. So this is super exciting for you. So what I did completely free, just like this podcast, is every so often I go in and update this spreadsheet where all of the episodes from the show are categorized into playlists. So like I said, if you're jumping right into the podcast or if you've been listening for a while, but there's a specific topic you want to focus on, everything is categorized in a way where it's a lot easier to search. So if you just want to focus in on 3D printing, coding and robotics, makerspace, there is a playlist for that. Same exact show, but just everything is organized that way. Also on this spreadsheet, it does have all of the episodes in a row and everything is time stamped. So if you have listened to everything, and a lot of times when you are submitting for professional development, you have to turn in the time that you did these tasks. Everything is time stamped for the show. So you can delete the rows, keep the rows, maybe you've listened to everything so that you can actually see all the times add up for you and just make it a lot easier for the certificate that's also linked on the spreadsheet. If you are just focusing on a specific topic, like I said, all of the same episodes in those playlists are also split out in this spreadsheet. So that way you can focus in and get the information that you need. You don't have to do it manually, but one thing to keep in mind with this spreadsheet is obviously mine is the original and I update my original. So if you made a copy, anything that I'm adding isn't going to automatically be added to yours. So it might be good to bookmark my original and then you have yours on the side and you can even add in the things that I updated. The actual links for the playlist will stay the same, but anything that are added in terms of rows and information on the actual spreadsheets, those will obviously change on mine and not yours. So, like I said, this is completely free. It has all that for you. The certificate is linked and you should be good to go from there. Now, maybe you are looking for other ways to get professional development for elementary STEM. And I was actually talking to a STEM teacher the other day, and I actually run one of my STEM after school clubs at her school, which I did interview her for this podcast. I'm going to play her episode a little bit later. You'll see why, because the lesson she's talking about will work for a better time of year. Anyway, I was talking to her and she said that in her district, they have professional development for the teachers, but the ones that are for the STEM teachers aren't super relevant, or they get canceled a lot, or they're not even very helpful. So she is so sweet. And she told me that she actually takes my workshops and uses my podcast for her professional development instead, and actually told her principal about that. So instead of going to the things provided by the district, she's actually using my online workshops and course to help her fulfill those hours and credits that she needs. So if you're looking for more beyond the podcast in terms of professional development, I have a variety of workshops where these have already happened live, but let me know. That could be a question to ask me. Let me know what other workshops you are interested in because I am open to doing whatever you need. So let me know. But the ones that I have done where I chatted live for 2 hours, except one, and I'll explain that, but chatted live in these workshops, everything was recorded, everything is linked for you. So you can listen in your own time, but it's all real, it's all relevant. It's me talking in the moment. So you can see that side of me, which this is what the podcast is like too. But obviously, I edit out some things to help your listening. So, with that, here are the workshops that I do have. And these also have professional development certificates that you can grab as well. The most recent one is my 3D Printing 101. And this is for beginners in 3D printing. If you have no experience 3D printing with kids, or you've done a little bit, but you're still a little unsure what to do, that workshop is perfect for you. The next one is my Stellar School-wide video news, and this is one of my most favorite school clubs I've ever done as a STEM teacher. And I walk you through and I saved everything that I did to set up your school-wide video news. So even though at the time of this recording, it is mid-year, you could still do video news. And even my friend Becca, who I've had on this podcast a few times, she started doing like one day a week. I think she ran her school news on Fridays. And so she started doing that around January. And this is a good time for you to test out one day. And then going into the new school year, you could do 4 or 5 days of recording. So I walk you through that whole process and you don't have to go live with kids. I think that's actually a good thing. And I explain why in that workshop. My other workshop, this would be really timely for you as well, is if you are hoping to set up a STEM career day. This is an audio workshop. So it's short little podcast episodes where I walk you through all the resources on how to set up a STEM career day. And it's mostly through email, the way that you do it. So again, I saved all the templates, have all the resources for you. I had my STEM career day go on May 5th, May 4th, May the 4th be with you. And it's a great spring activity. So if that's something you've been talking about with your admin, I got that all set up for you. Other 2 workshops I have a K through 2 STEM planning workshop and a 3 through 5 STEM planning workshop. So maybe you've been in STEM for a little bit, you've got your feet underway, but you really want to focus in on the planning and make that more effective for your classes. These are really helpful in how to plan with standards in mind. And I do look at the standards the same for all the grades. However, there are some things that I do differently for K through 2 than I do for 3 through 5. So those are really great workshops and they pair well together. Along with that, if you're needing more support in terms of the systems, routines, and just the general structure of teaching STEM, I have a STEM Teacher 101 course that will walk you through all of those steps and help you feel confident in that role. If you're interested in any of these workshops, these will all be linked in the show notes for you. If you have been in any of my workshops or my course in the past and you're trying to find how to gain access to that, just send me a message. I am happy to help you out. We can figure it out together. I don't want you to lose out on the content. It hasn't disappeared. I just switched platforms. But I am here with you to help you feel excited about elementary STEM and love what you do. I definitely love it. I am so obsessed about it. My teacher, Honey, my husband, knows that. I think my little dog probably knows that. But this is something I'm always thinking about and always trying to share what I know. So in turn, that our students have really cool experiences. Thanks so much again for being here. So excited for this podcast refresh. Make sure to send me those questions either by way of DMs, email, or even a voice message. Everything is linked in the show notes for you and can't wait to hear what you want to chat about. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Elementary STEM Coach podcast. I would love to connect with you over on Instagram at NaomiMeredith_ or send me an email to elementarystemcoachpodcast@gmail.com. Also, make sure to check out my website, NaomiMeredith.com, to see all the show notes from today's episode and shop my K-5 STEM resources. Any questions you have, needs for resources, or ideas for episodes, get in touch. I'll talk to you soon.